Ready? Can we? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm very glad to see fully booked. Yeah, closer. Okay. I'm not really the best with this in my hand. So I will give you a short presentation on the results of the analysis of the European Commission on investment needs in the European Union. But before going into the details of that, I would like to start very straight with a key message. The European Union needs and uses already nuclear energy for decarbonization, competitiveness, and strategic autonomy. But we already know that to keep the level of capacity that we have today in the European Union, we should be already constructing 15 large-scale reactors today, and this for the next 25 years every year. So this tells you already a lot on what it takes even to take more or less exactly what we have nowadays. And you can imagine if we want to increase the capacity. So I will present to you what we call the PINC at the European Commission. This is the Nuclear Illustrative Programme. It's a communication that the Commission issues periodically, but not with a regular period, based on the Euratom Treaty. And it is aimed at describing the investment needs in the nuclear energy sector. So we decided to go out with this new PINC this year. It was published on the 13th of June because it is clearly a new time for nuclear energy also in the European Union. There are many changes in member states' policies, many member states programming and planning to go for nuclear energy and even to start a new nuclear energy. And therefore it was very important also to provide an overview from the Commission angle, from the European Commission angle. This presentation is a very broad summary of the document, which is of course publicly available, and I'm ready also afterwards to discuss with you, if you wish, a few elements. And we have structured this presentation going broadly like the document goes, but trying to pinpoint the key themes. First is the EU engagement on highest safety standards. This is first because this is in the European Commission mandate as well. It's in the Euratom Treaty. We must, at the European Union, stand against our safety standards and aim at the highest level. So we addressed in the PINC also those investment needs that concern these aspects. And first is the regulatory framework. In cooperation with the European network of nuclear regulators, we tried to assess the staffing needs for the regulators, especially in view of new plans and programs by member states. And as a result, we obtained that for some, at least for some regulators, there might be a need of doubling their staffing. So we start from making sure that we have the capacity to regulate the development of nuclear energy in the future. There are, of course, close to the heart of the European Commission and the Union, transparency aspects. Transparency is very important to win the trust of the public and ensure that these plans are accomplished. And also, and this is part also of building trust with the public, taking care of the back end. Therefore, of the decommissioning and safe and responsible waste management. And here we have a broad evaluation of the investment needs for all the radioactive waste that has been generated so far in the European Union and will be generated according to the current plans until at least 2050 and beyond. And we have a figure that is aggregating up all the investment needs for the member states. So these aspects are a first pillar of this document, but perhaps the most interesting part, especially for the industry, is to have an outlook for nuclear energy in the electricity system and also beyond the electricity generation. So let's see what we concluded during the assessment of the plans of the member states. So it is summarized in this graph, where you can see a base case scenario based on a simple aggregation of national energy and climate plans provided by the member states. Therefore, it is not based on a model. It is only taking what the member states actually plan to do. But we did also a sort of reality check of this plan, because, you know, plans might be also ambitious, politically driven, and so we tried to do a check on the uncertainties around the developments of this plan. And this is why you see the gray band that, of course, widen towards 2050. And so here what we see is that business as usual, we might reach in 2050 a capacity of around 109 gigawatt against the 100 we have today. So basically more or less what we have today. And this is what is where we need to do 15 reactors per year in construction to achieve. But there is also the upper hand that is up to 148 gigawatt that takes into account that all the plans of the member states are successful as they are prepared. And on the other hand, we may even go down to 70 about if, for example, planned long-term operations cannot be carried over because of safety assessments, or new builds are not delivered on time and on budget. So we have quite an uncertainty there. Now, this picture is only about large-scale, let's say, traditional reactor. On the top of it, we should add the upcoming small modular reactors, but we couldn't already in this document embed this data in the graph because we didn't have yet sufficient information to have credible data. So let's analyze a bit in detail what is the structure of this scenario. And this graph represents in dark blue the existing reactors, and that will go to the end of life. And in light blue, the reactors that will be extended in operations, while the yellow bar represents the new builds. So you can immediately see from here that the impact of long-term operation is very important for the success of this plan, as well as the new build that needs to be delivered on time and on budget. Otherwise, we won't be at that point in time. And we assessed the investment needs to achieve this. So for LTO, we have around 36 billion, and for new builds, 205. These are present net value appreciations based on a range of assumptions that is also transparently published in the document. Then there are other important elements of the electricity system to which nuclear energy can definitely contribute. So it's not just the supply, but this is the supply of firm, 24 hours available, but also flexible electricity. And flexibility and stability are becoming more and more valuable in an electricity system with increasing shares of intermittent sources. So in the document, in this analysis, we tried also to highlight the importance of this, but this might also require some follow-up to quantify a bit more the amount, the impact of that. Then, beyond electricity, we have heat supply. And in heat supply now we have the promises of small modular reactors and advanced modular reactors that are have become very, very important in the discussions and in the developments around nuclear energy. Here we have initial projection on how much small modular reactors deployment in the next 20 years can give to other form of energy supply than electricity. So you see hydrogen and synthetic fuels, combined heated power, and district heatings. These are the results of the preparation of the European Industrial Alliance for SMRs, which are currently being further developed by the Industrial Alliance. I will make a short note about that towards the end of the presentation. So these are preliminary data that we would like to also to better specify in the next future. But also, and this is very important to recognize that nuclear technologies are not just energy technologies. There is an increasing need for medical radioisotope. So in the next decade, there will be a tripling of the needs. And so our citizens will need to have access to medical treatment, and therefore there is also very important need to secure the supply of medical radioisotopes. And here there is a good leeway to the strategic autonomy, because nuclear energy and the supply of radioisotopes as well, they have an element of strategic autonomy. So we need to have in the European Union a certain level of independence and diversification that does not make us depending on a single suppliers of anything. So the analysis done by the Commission also addressed this in respect to several aspects that are for us very important. First, the front end of the fuel cycle. Here you can see the example of conversion services at European level and beyond. So the lines represent the capacity for conversion services, while the areas represent the needs, the demand. And if we take the basic scenario that I showed you before, we see that for conversion service we will be short of towards the end of the period. And we have a similar situation, although a bit better from the capacity point of view on the enrichment side. So it is very important to see investments in the front end, and we are seeing them. And we are also glad that some of them have been also supported by European Bank for Investments. But this strategic dependency is very important, especially if we want to go even farther than the base scenario for the supply. And in a world where all other, let's say, competitors are also growing or have intentions to grow even faster than we do. So the requirements will, the demand will go even up. Another important aspect is the supply chain, the industrial supply chain. The European industrial supply chain has been traditionally quite strong. We have internal capacities, know-how, excellence. However, since we are not building in the European Union several reactors since a while, this supply chain reoriented itself towards operation and maintenance. While if we want to sustain now a growing or a new build plan, we need to have a supply chain able to sustain that. And this graph, it's not a very nice graph, it may be difficult to read, shows the availability of forgeries for large reactors components. Yeah, and the colored bars show you for 3 typical large-scale reactors the needs, and therefore you see that only a few forgeries are available to deliver. So if you want to build 8 pressure vessels in a year, maybe you don't manage because you don't have it. You have to queue at the forgeries. This is just an example, but we have many of this situation. So the supply chain will need a strong support. And so investments will be needed also mainly in this area. Industrial policies and programs are needed. There is also another element of very important element for the sustainability of this planning, and that is the human resources. Here you can see the projected needs for constructions, operation and maintenance and decommissioning. So we are speaking about several 100,000 of people, and there is a stress on the, let's say, supply, if we can use this word, of skilled people. And so this is another area where the European Union needs to focus to sustain the planning. Innovation. Of course, we have also quite a lot to work on innovation side. Here we have 2 main elements to describe. On the one hand, fusion. As you know, the European Commission is running the ITER program, or supporting the European Union is supporting the ITER program, but also other fundamental developments and research. So we have a consortium Aerofusion, for example, and soon the Commission will deliver a specific strategy for fusion. So this is an upcoming work that we are going to deliver, I think, in the next few months, and will set the scenarios for developing also on the industrial side, not just the research side, the industrial side, the fusion technologies. And as I mentioned, we have the European Industrial Alliance for Small Modular Reactors, where the work is more advanced. We have had the Industrial Alliance working for 1 year now. They issued a strategic plan at the beginning of September, which was endorsed and by the alliance itself, but also under endorsed by 3 of our commissioners in a General Assembly in Brussels. And this strategic plan is being translated by the European Commission in another strategic document, communication on how to support development and deployment of SMRs, and the aim is to do this by the early 2030s in the European Union. And as I mentioned, this will have to be rather an industrial policy program rather than an energy policy as such. I mean, we have to because this is really affecting or positively affecting the industrial sector across the board. At the links there, you may find further information on this, and at our stand we have further QR codes that you can use to reach. And then the conclusions. So, as I started, nuclear energy will continue to play an important role in the European Union, and it is recognized that we need a diversified energy system. And an interesting element is also comparing this communication published in 2025 with the latest one that was published in 2017. And it is interesting to see that globally the amounts of investments that we assessed at that time has not changed a lot. However, the precisions and the understanding of what we need to do is much better now. Indeed, this communication covers really the full nuclear energy life cycle. Again, we must, and as guardian of the treaties at the European Commission, we must comply with the highest standards of nuclear safety, radiation protection, and we are very keen also on radioactive waste management and safeguards. But yeah, the future is not known. I mean, and we have a range of uncertainty in the future against which we need to work. So the only thing that we can do, I think, is to work against that and try to obtain the maximum instead of the minimum. And supply chain is key, as well as people. So we will have to work on that. Now, as I learned, well, this is something that is not usual. As I learned that we had only 30 minutes, I will stop here. And I would like to invite Mr. Brutan, Director-General Nuclear Europe, an association of the industry, of the nuclear industry, to make also a statement from their point of view on the work of the Commission on these matters. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Gianfranco, and thank you for the invitation. So my name is Emmanuel Brutin. I'm the Director General of Nuclear Europe. Nuclear Europe is the association of the European nuclear industry, so gathering both national forums as well as large utilities, equipment suppliers and fuel manufacturers as well. We're based in Brussels. I wanted to start really by saying thank you to you, Gianfranco, and to DG Ener, because I think the pings that you outlined was a major step for the EU. It had been a very long time that we were waiting for this document, but we have not been disappointed. It is a very positive document in that, as you explained, it recognizes all the benefits of nuclear, and really the benefits that nuclear can bring to the entire energy system. And that's really what we're all about. You know, we're about clean baseload. We're also about working with other energy sources like renewable. We're also, you know, a very specific energy source insofar we can provide both electricity, but as you explained, also heat and hydrogen. So I think you know, the pink as such is a very important document for our sector, and I would like to thank you for it. Now you presented some estimates, which actually we can see now on the screens. I also wanted to say that broadly we agree with your estimate. When we look at the plans made by the different EU member states in terms of nuclear investments, we're looking at moving from 100 gigawatt of installed capacity today to potentially just below 150 gigawatt in 2050. The way our calculation differs is that we actually add SMRs to the mix, so indeed it shows as a bit more than what is currently on the screen. I just wanted to share a few thoughts in terms of what is needed actually to achieve this ambition and to really accomplish all the investment that you know you are seeing in the pink, and that also on our side we are seeing. In fact, I think what we need is really a strong action plan for nuclear, and this would be my only slight criticism of the pings, that you see this document, it's extremely positive on the role of nuclear, but then you're wondering, okay, where is the list of action that the EU institutions will be taking to really support these investments? But let me highlight maybe just a few of these actions. A first one, and a first big challenge for the nuclear sector, is the issue of financing. It is a particularly strong challenge when it comes to new builds, but also even for lifetime extension, or indeed the supply chain, as you highlighted. There we have seen significant progress, in particular from the European Investment Bank in recent years. Earlier this year, there was a significant loan from the European Investment Bank to Orano for a new an extension of fuel production capacity in France. And just last week, actually, there was another very significant loan from the European Investment Bank to the Olkiluoto power plant for basically an upgrade. And we strongly welcome this. We think this is really a very strong new momentum. Now, when it comes to the EU budget, so far nuclear has not been eligible for EU funding. So what we very much hope to see coming down the line, and there are, as you know, EU budget discussions being currently launched, is to see nuclear being eligible for a bit of European funding. So both financing from the European Investment Bank, but also funding for some projects which can really play, a significant role in terms of also attracting private investors. So financing is a first challenge. The second challenge is really the long-term policy framework. We as European industry, we need very clear signals in terms of the place of nuclear in the European energy mix. So currently there are very significant discussions in Brussels around our 2040 CO2 objective. We very much hope that the EU member states will agree on an ambitious objective in the coming weeks. But what will come down the line once this CO2 ambition, this CO2 objective is agreed, is will there be a need for an EU renewable target to accompany this objective? Our strong position as Nuclear Europe is really to say that actually we should do away with renewable target insofar that renewable target should be transformed into a net zero energy target that also includes nuclear. And it's very important to provide to our sectors this certainty for investment by really making nuclear part of the energy mix. So we think it's going to be a very, very important point. Lastly, I wanted to say a few words about the support for the supply chain, which you also mentioned. The European Commission, together with Nuclear Europe, we're doing an extremely important job, which you referred to, on the Small Modular Reactors Industrial Alliance. It is really important that we step up this work, that we also see how we can encourage SMRs in the very near future. Another point which I wanted to highlight is the nuclear supply chain, in particular fuel supply and independence from Russian uraniums. There we're eagerly waiting actually for the European Commission proposals on Repower EU, which will look exactly at this, at how can we not only divert from Russian uranium supplies, but also build our own capacity in Europe, and that's something which we need to continue doing. Last but not least, you mentioned a bit regulators, and the PINC also refers to cooperation between regulators. I was having a meeting earlier this morning with basically one of the largest utilities considering new nuclear reactors in Europe, and they were telling me that actually cooperation with regulators is extremely important. It is important because we need to make sure that regulators do as much as they can things in a standardized way, so that we can deliver projects quickly. It's extremely important also because in the long term, as SMRs will come, the benefits of SMRs are mainly in being a standardized product. If we want this standardized product to succeed, we will need some type of standardized approval all across the European Union. So I think that's also something which we need to look at. But with this, Gianfranco, I would like to thank you again for inviting me and congratulate you again on the publication of the PINC. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Emmanuel. And our time, I think, is over. I believe we can have some networking here on the side as far as understood. So thank you for coming. I'm very happy to see you in that numbers. Thank you.